Hello, hello. Good morning. Happy New Year. I know it is the 12th of January, but believe it or not, I met somebody, was it last week, who said he's waiting today to start his goals. Okay. So I think I'm kind of like justified for still saying Happy New Year. How are you doing? Welcome to 2026. Welcome to Basement Chronicles Live. My name is Lisa Dublin. If perchance you're just joining me for the first time, today I want to talk about the fact that, do you know, January 10th, I believe it was actually National Quitters Day. They said that that is the day that most people actually quit their goals. Like, if you had a goal and for the new year, most likely if you're somebody who quits, most likely that was when you might have quit your goal. That was the 10th of January, like 2 days ago. And so I thought I would do something on, basically, why do we quit our goals? Let me stop this music now. Why do we quit our goals? And have you quit your goals for the new year? So that's our topic for today, because there are reasons that we quit our goals, and there are ways to kind of make this last, kind of get to how long you want to be doing this goal and to get to the end result, right? It is possible, but I don't think we ever stop to, to kind of think about what exactly we're doing. Okay, so let me see if I'm actually live. It doesn't look like I am on LinkedIn. No, that's fine. Oh yeah, I'm actually am. So that's fine. Okay, let's get started. So, did you set goals for the new year? I think 2 weeks ago I did a goal setting session with some of my colleagues and friends, and it went really well. And we really went in depth about why do we set goals, how should we set them, and how to kind of make them stick. And I believe that is everybody's like angst right now. I started, and some people by the 10th of January, you guys, some people have already quit. Can you imagine that? Are you one of those? Oh, maybe I should ask, what have you quit already? Maybe that might be a better thing. What have you quit already? So that's what we want to talk about today. All right, so let's first look at some of the reasons that people actually quit their goals. Okay, let's see what some of the reasons are. Okay, let me know if you can hear me. Okay, I just kind of changed my mic up a little bit. So let me know if you can hear me. One of the reasons that we quit our goals is because we really are not tied to reality. You know that sense, that rush you get at the beginning of the year, like, oh my goodness, I want to do this and I want to do that, right? And sometimes these goals have nothing to do with your daily life. Like, you're like, okay, I want to, most people's goals are around losing weight, about around career goals, around family goals, saving money, that kind of thing. But when it's divorced from the realities of daily life, waking up, not having time, having family, having a spouse, and having to go to work and having to deal with the pressures of the day, if you don't look at your goals within the context and the lens of what your life is really like, it's not going to happen. So that is one reason it's disconnected from daily life. Like, we never stop to consider, how is this goal and this thing that I want to do, how is it actually going to, how am I going to do it? Okay. The second reason, and I prepared a whole slide presentation I'm going to share with you in a bit, right? Sometimes our goals are borrowed. What does that mean? Like, because Susie has it, I hate to use Susie, everybody uses Susie. Because Amy has it, or because Sharon has it, you think that you want to accomplish that goal as well. It's borrowed. It has nothing to do with who you are, what you want to accomplish in life, what you really believe. And that brings me to my next point. Sometimes our values have shifted, and we have not been able to tie goals to our values. You guys, I have a perfect example of this, and I want to share that with you today. Okay. Let me just check. Say hi if you're just coming in. Let me know where you're joining me from. It would be nice to, to just have a conversation this morning about it. All of yesterday, I really just did mean to put up the promo to say that I would be live today, you guys, but like, life just got in the way. Okay. That's what happened. Life just simply got in the way. But here's the thing. So, for the longest while, I've just been very health conscious, and maybe even in my 20s and so on, maybe a lot more conscious of losing weight and looking a certain way, that kind of thing. Anybody can identify. But then I got older, and it's no longer about that. I didn't realize that my goals around weight management, health, and fitness, they had changed. Whereas before, it might have been about, like eating a certain way because I wanted to be at a certain weight. Especially the last couple years, getting more involved in business, getting older, getting more dialed in even into my children as they got older, my marriage, and all of those things. It is no longer as important to me to be a certain size. And so I realized, like, I was just literally slipping, as well as, going through like perimenopause and all of those. I was just slipping. It wasn't a factor. All sorts of things were coming into the mix. And so when I was getting ready to do the goal setting workshop, I had to take a really good look at myself and my goals. And frankly, the last couple months, I had been worried about, okay, if it's no longer a factor for me, like, what is going on? What's going to keep me? What's going to help me to keep on eating right and exercising and all of those things? Okay. Then I usually do a values exercise with my clients, and my students. So I did it for myself again. And I realized it's not that my goals, my values had shifted so much, that it was, though, that I now put more value on certain things. And even while I'm speaking, I'm hoping that you can just take the time for your own self. Have your values changed? Maybe what used to matter before doesn't matter as much because something else. It's almost like, how you have a what you call that, a console, like if you're DJing and so on, and you have the console and you have things going up and down, like the sliders. It's almost like, as you get older and as you go through different stages of life, your sliders, they're going to be at different points. What mattered when you were 20 no longer matters as much at 50. And so the way that, there's this whole tool that we use in coaching to help people to get to their goals. It has been proven by people like Joe DiMartini. Check him out. I think that's his name. Very good. The guy has a book called Values 2.0. It's a lovely book, and I've used it for my own self and for my clients as well. They say that you are better able to accomplish a goal if you can tie the goal to your values, if the goal is underpinned or linked to something that you truly believe in. So for me, whereas it wasn't just about, oh, I want to be a certain size. However, what matters for me now are a couple other things. Like my sliders went up in spirituality, my sliders went up in family, my sliders went up in business, and it went down with just like looking a certain way. So because of that, now I've approached this year with, I don't want to talk too much. I hate being the person who's like, yeah, coming all starting hot and sweaty, and then you just boil down. No, I don't want to be that way. But just to say that, there's a different understanding now in terms of, okay, I want to do certain things. I want to understand what I'm eating. I want to understand how my body's working better so I can be healthier for myself and for my family. So because family and business and health, I think they're more important than just losing weight. I can do certain things better because I'm more concerned now. So I started running again, and here's the other thing. So it wasn't just running to lose weight. I'm doing the half marathon in August. And it was by pure coincidence. I was just, on my computer this year, and I just came across my old schedule, my running schedule from 2019. I was like, oh my goodness, it no longer was a factor for me the last couple years to train for the marathon. So many things got in the way, some of them physical, to tell you the truth. But I'm in a better place now, and I'm hungry for this marathon, the half marathon again. And because of that, it's no longer even a matter of running for weight management. It's a matter of running and eating so that I have the runner's body, I have the energy, I have what it takes for me to be able to do this marathon. You see how the goal just changed? I've done this with some of my clients as well. I once had a client who was a lawyer. She was a single parent, and right. So she was newly divorced, single parent, but she wanted to have like a healthy exercise regime, and it was difficult for her. Like most people, start off nicely, and then the consistency just peters off, and you wonder why, because it is not underpinned that by something that you can sustain. And let me explain. However, one of her values was, you know what, I'm gonna make this money, I'm gonna do my career. I want to leave something for my child. I want to make sure my child has the best education and the best future. And so what we did was to look at, okay, for your child to have the best future possible, would you like to be in her life? Would you like to have longevity of life and health, not just the wealth, for you to make sure that you are there in her life because she has nobody else? The dad was not in the picture. Once we put that in place, then she had a reason to link the family goal to exercise and eating right, because she's like, she was able to, it was delayed gratification. You don't see the results immediately, but what kept her going for a very long time was, if I work out, if I exercise, if I do the right things, my lifespan is going to increase. My daughter, I'm going to get to enjoy her life and going to see her grow up. Of course, things do happen. Like, we know our time is not guaranteed here on earth, but at least you can do what you can to ensure that it happens. See that? So if you are struggling with a goal today, I'd like you to check whether your values have changed on you and you haven't taken the time to kind of see where you are. Is that you this morning? What are your values? Have they changed even from 3 years ago to now? What are your current values, the things that mean the most to you? If you look at those values, and then you look at what you want to accomplish this year, and you're able to see that, okay, this goal is possible because it really will promote peace in my life. This goal is possible because it will promote, I'm going after business because I want to be able to give more. I want to enjoy a better quality of life. All of these things will help you when the going gets tough, as it has by people having quit by the 10th of January on Quitters Day, quit their goals by the 10th of January. Definitely, I can identify with that. I'm sure everybody can. But if your goals are tied to something that is deeper than you, that means something to you, you are better able to sustain the effort that it takes to accomplish the goal. You see that? And so a couple of years ago, you guys, I did a whole course on goal setting. It didn't go anywhere, but the information has helped me. It came from like my own understanding of how I got to certain goals and wanting to help my clients and colleagues, etc., to be able to get there. Okay. So I want to go through those things today. So let's say, for example, you've realized that you've already started, petering off the goals that you set, and you were so like enlightened, and you were on a high on January 1. This is January 12th. And now you're like, what on earth am I doing? I can't do that. Familiarity as well, falling right back into the same old patterns, is comfortable as opposed to doing something new that will make the goal possible. It's uncomfortable. And if you don't have the right motivation, it's not going to happen. So a couple years ago, this was during the pandemic, I put together this course. I'm not going to go through the whole course. We don't have the time, but I sure will share my screen with you and show you something about why we quit. And no, I did that already, kind of. Let's go to um some steps to accomplishing a goal. Would that make and if you want the handout, like I have a whole sheet that I share with people. If you want it, please let me know that you do. All right, so let's go. So how do you first accomplish a goal? So At the beginning of the year, we probably wrote down like lots of goals. Can I tell you, you're not going to accomplish half of those goals. No, no, you're not. You know why? Because we do not have infinite time or energy or resources. What's going to get accomplished is what means the most to us, what is most important. And so one of the first things that you want to do, and let me start to, I'll share my screen with you right now. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, let me share my screen with you. Okay, there we go. Okay, and I'll move to the side. Look at this, you guys. Okay, I want it the other way. What about this way? Let's see if that works. Okay, yes, that's better. And let me remove the Basement Chronicles logo up there so you can see. Okay, so here's the thing. You need to decide on your most important goals first of all. And when I do this exercise with people, I say put down all your goals. You will realize that your most important goals will literally fall into the area of your life that needs to be nourished the most. Most likely, it's either finances or health or relationships or career. These are the big buckets of family, even. Some people might be okay where family is concerned, and you know what finances, they need to give it accomplish, they need to give it attention. So they would have stuff like, I want to start a business this year, I want to make $50,000, I want to, whatever it is. When you look at the whole, all the goals that you put down, you might be able to identify the area in your life that needs the most nourishing, the most attention, and that is where you should actually choose the goals to move forward with. It doesn't mean that you're not going to accomplish anything else, obviously, but what it means is you're going to give those MIGs, as I call them, most important goals. You're going to give those MIGs the most attention, the most structure, and you're going to, yes, exactly, that's just it, right? So you want to focus on those most important goals. What are your MIGs for 2026? All right. Is that making sense? I did this exercise on Instagram. By the way, you can follow me on Instagram as well. I think I'm way more fun over there. Let me put my Instagram handle in here. I think I still have it, right? Follow me on Instagram. So sometimes I go live there, and it's not just the professional stuff. You know, we talk deep Basement Chronicles stuff from the heart and the foundational stuff. That's how Basement Chronicles started. So here's step number one: decide on your mix. Let's move on. So once you decided on that, and it's a simple process that works, okay? It just works. The next step is find your real motivation. You know, I have coached many people who are like, I just need to lose 10 pounds for my sister's wedding in August. Now, that might be short term motivation, but what if you could just decide to go deeper because it's the right thing to do, because you want longevity? Because my point, my in my head, I'm always like, okay, what's going to happen after the wedding? Like, and that usually happens after the wedding. They lose weight to be able to fit into a dress, and then after the occasion, you just go right back to eating and to being the person who you want, right? The thing though is that surface level motivation fades. If you have a deep purpose, you are better able to endure. And there's something I want to say about that. Sometimes we copy people. Sometimes, remember I spoke about borrowed goals? Sometimes you copy people, or you imitate what people are doing, not realizing that their motivation for doing it is way different and way deeper than yours. Let me give you an example. Okay, I have seen so many people come out the bat, on social media, even as coaches, even as, what else, business people, and they come out, and I have done it before. I've been guilty all throughout COVID and beyond. Yeah, I'll be here every so often, and then we say something in the Caribbean that you boil up, and you just boil right down like bhaji, like is it spinach? I think it is. Like you just melt. Like, why is it that why does that happen? I've seen so many people, they come out and they start with a bang, and then they just disappear after a while. And then, at least in that area, where posting, being consistent on social media is concerned, you do have people like me who are more or less consistent. Now, if somebody's just looking at what I'm doing and just trying to emulate it without understanding why, you're going to slow down. It's the same way when I try to emulate people whose motivation I don't understand, the same thing happens. I return to my familiar and not theirs. But here's the thing, what if you understood why you were doing it? I know I must post. Okay, this is in the context of a business person. Take note. I must post to stay top of mind. I must post to get the algorithm going. I must post every day because I've got a journey to take my customer through, and I'm always aware at any point of posting where in the journey I am. I understand it's not just a short term game, that it's long term. Step back, figure out who you are, who you appeal to, what do they need, and then slowly, consistently, patiently go out to give value to that client. If you don't understand why you're posting, why you out there, it's not, you're going to get fed up. You're like, what is it? How do people sustain this? No, because they understand why, and there's a system in place. Everywhere that you have petered out where your goal is concerned, it's because either there's no motivation that's deep enough. Sometimes motivation comes from what we want to do, it also comes from understanding why we do it. All right, you guys, I'm giving you all lots of game this morning. So I think I listened to one of the most life-changing podcasts I've ever listened to on the weekend. And I actually shared it with my husband because, like we're just kind of trying to get our diets and everything in order. And this guy, what's his name? Stephen Bartlett. He had on a scientist, somebody talking about how the body works, how the body stores fat, how food, and I should know that. I did health sciences, I did biology, but it never stuck. If you want to go check out his latest podcast, Diary of what's it? I forgot the name of it. But you know Stephen Bartlett, right? His podcast is very good. And this podcast must have been like more than an hour, and I've listened to it twice. This while doing my stuff, right? This guy explained what happens when you eat. Now I've always, when I was really eating well, I didn't understand why I was doing it. I just did what my coach at the time told me. She said, eat that. I ate it. I didn't understand that the way I was eating was literally lowering my insulin levels. And because my insulin was low, then the things happened in my body to make me lose weight. Okay, so I'm halfway there in terms of understanding, as you can see. But why is it I'm coming out with an understanding of put more carbohydrates and more sugar or fat of more sugar into my body, I produce more insulin. I got that understanding from listening. So now I have a why. I understand what is happening in my body. Same thing with your goal. If you understand in trying to get to the goal why you're doing it, and why these steps are important, you are more likely to choose to do the steps that will hasten you to your goal. So I want to say to you, find your real motivation. It's going to work every single time. Find something that's meaningful. Find something that is actually tied to your value system, and you're more likely to get to the goal. Making sense so far? Let's move on. This is how you do it step by step. So now this one changed my life. This one and the next step changed my life. When I really looked at people, at what we were doing and how we were living, I realized there were three kinds of obstacles. There were distractions, there were threats, and there were weaknesses. So during when I was kind of pivoting from the 9 to 5 to doing this full time, one of the things I had to plan for were the distractions of working from home. And of course, what are those distractions? Maybe sleep. Then there's also like be scrolling, and that's most people's distractions now, even though you're older. It doesn't even matter. The phones like seem to have captured, our gaze. Then there are also like talking on the phone, having those long conversations where you should be in production mode and, producing what you need to. You've got to plan for the distractions. The threats for me at the time, when I was like working towards my coaching certification and my speaking certification, all at the same time, I believe, or something very close together, it was under the constant threat that working from home would not last forever. So because of that, your threats can actually hasten you to your goal because you never are sure when they do come. A threat is something outside of you, something that you have no control over. A weakness, for example, is something that is within you that seems to crop up over and over again. Let me give you an example. One weakness to productivity is people pleasing in the form of always saying yes before counting the cost. Is that you? That has been me in the past. Not now, not as much now, I should say. I'm pretty much better because I've planned for that weakness by saying I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. That's actually my husband's advice that I'm following. I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. The weakness is I will always say is I always wanted to help people, whatever. If that is so think of your weaknesses. Think of the things that can derail the goal. Maybe a weakness could be weakness for sweetness in terms of chocolate, right? And you're trying to lose weight. Again, you eat that amount of chocolate and you're going to spike your insulin. That's what's going to happen. And when that happens, then it doesn't produce any kind of is it keto, is the keto producing hormones? You don't get that, and then what has to happen for you to lose weight doesn't happen. So there's a reason that they say be in a calorie deficit, but this guy was saying it's not really calorie deficit. To focus on lowering your insulin and you will be better able to lose the weight. Like everything just clicked. It just click. So plan for your obstacles. Okay, if they ask me at work to do this and do that, I will say that I can't. I'm sorry. When I'm done with my degree, I will get back into doing social activities. But you've got to plan for the times when it's going to be difficult to be yourself. So there are three kinds of obstacles: the distractions, the threats, and the weaknesses. And the way that you get to a goal is to be able to control these kinds of obstacles, all of them as much as possible. That's what it is. Okay. Let's make sure I think people can see me on Facebook. Let's make sure I can be seen on feed. I'm not even seeing myself. Oh my gosh. I don't think the Facebook one went out. That's terrible, but that's okay. Let's move on, you guys. Ooh. And there we go. So here we go. So define your milestones. That this is where the traditional wisdom of how to accomplish a goal comes into play. You know how they say make your goal smart, and that S always stands for specific. Make it specific. Like what you make it specific by identifying first of all how concrete the goal is itself, and then you can get more specific by identifying the different steps towards getting to that goal. So let's say you're planning to write a book, which I'm supposed to be doing, right? Your milestones might be just cut up into chapters. Chapter one would be the completion of chapter one by such and such a date, completion of chapter two, chapter three, etc. So when you define your milestones, two things happen. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, one milestone at a time, one page at a time. Okay. So it makes the goal more manageable when you have milestones. You know what else happens when you have milestones towards accomplishing a goal? It also gives you something to celebrate. Even before you get to that big denouement, the big goal completion, you can celebrate at each milestone. I did that with a client a couple years ago, and it was such a delightful exercise to see this play out. So her goal was she's writing a book, and her goal was to do the research, on different parts, various parts of the book writing process. And because she had family, some of her milestone rewards were okay. Once I do the research for this chapter, we're going to ice cream. We're going to get ice cream. Like The next goal, she went to get a massage. It was just delightful, and it makes the whole goal setting process a little less arduous, because like when you're there in the doldrums, like slugging away at a goal, like if it's not deep enough, you guys, everybody knows this, like what am I even doing, like why am I even doing this, right? Why am I even doing this? Let's move on. So this is the most important step, in my opinion. This step number 5, sink in the time. How many people have now quit their goals in 2026 by the 10th of January, because they never planned it out to the point where they could identify in their weekly or monthly schedules where in their busy week that the goal that they would take time. We just thought we would automatically make time. I'm telling you, that never works. The, what my mom used to say, time waits for no man or no woman, like something like that. It really, if you don't elbow out and carve out the time to make your goal and to accomplish and to work, it's not going to get done. So, like, it's not as if you're supposed to be working on it every single day. But if you can identify when you're going to work on the goal and you can stick to it, you have a better chance of getting the hours in, the effort in, that will ultimately lead to the completion of the goal. Most people, if you how do you sink in the time if you want to lose weight? You have to make time for meal prep. When are you doing meal prep? When are you exercising? What's your sleep patterns like? Because all of these things affect the goals. Like, for example, some people say that, okay, I want to go to the gym this year, and we know all like regular gym goers are just right now rolling their eyes and waiting for March to, and I shouldn't really say that. That's not very nice. But like, people come in and they start with a bang at the gym by March. Like they have petered out. And the worst thing is, sometimes people get locked into an annual, a year-long contract, thinking that the like having a year-long contract would actually make them more committed. No, it doesn't. No, you need something deeper in most cases, right? So you've got to sink in the time. If you can't identify in your calendar right now, if you have not penciled it in or typed it in and saved it, if you have not done that, then I say something a little on the strong side, you're not serious. And you might not have known that. But if you have not actually looked at your goals and put them in your calendar, the time to accomplish, you are not as serious as you think you are. The sign of somebody who's seriously going after their goals is the person who has taken the time to recognize and count the cost enough to put it in your calendar. Because here's the thing, let me stop sharing for a while. Here's the thing, when you put it in your calendar, you know that when you put stuff in your calendar, you're saying, I can't do other things. It means you are consciously making the choice that I'm going after this thing at the expense of something else, because it's very simplistic to say. But if you're going after one goal, it means you can't go after another one. There's something that you'll have to give up. You've got to count. You have to count the cost. And I feel so strongly about it because, like, every time I accomplish a goal, it's because I've counted and I've taken those steps. Every time I don't accomplish a goal I set out to do, it's because I have not taken the time to do those fundamentals. You know what the next step is after you sink in the time? And this year, I'm taking my own advice. I have fallen on my own petard. You guys remember that quote? I remember that somewhere. I can't remember. Fallen on my own petard. But this year, I'm taking my own advice. The one thing I have not been very good at, because I'm so introverted, is getting accountability. You guys, there are some things that it's more difficult to do alone. Would you agree? Especially when you're doing new goals, things that are very difficult for you. You want to get mentors, you want to get people who are on the same path as you. It makes it easier. Get help. So the one place that I'm getting help this year, as soon as it gets warm enough outside, I have resisted it and I've spoken about it. And, if you've been following me for a while, I'm going to get accountability. I'm joining a running club where everybody else is running and perhaps running way faster than me. So for sure, I will be motivated to keep my feet going. But I already looked at the cost of what it will take for me to get to August and to do this half marathon, and I realized the missing part for me. I'm very self-motivated, all of those things, but I've come to realize there are some goals that are so difficult that you absolutely need accountability. I have a question, a comment about accountability, and then we're going to end a little in a while, right? When I did this with my group 2 weeks ago, somebody pointed out that she has had accountability partners. And because it has not been reciprocal, like, she's just stopped the conversation and the communication because it was almost like she was the only one who cared about the other person's goal and that person did not care about hers. If you're going to have an accountability partner or group, you've got to play your part and to also be a great accountability partner. You've got to, yes, disclose and be open about your own goals. Don't hog any conversation or group or meeting, whatever. At the same time, you also have to consciously care about the other people's goals in the group. That's what accountability, that's what you guys are together for. So an accountability partner, you can't be selfish. It's not about you. That would mean you had a coach. A coach is holds you accountable. You have nothing to do about holding your coach accountable. No, she's not paying you to do that, right? You are paying your coach to hold you accountable. So you have every right and you're supposed to hog the time. It's your time. It's not anybody. Like, so I've seen some coaches like using their own sessions to self-disclose and to talk about their own problems. No, your client is paying you for you and the client to look at the client. That's the whole point of it. I just thought I'd say that. So if you want that kind of accountability, get a coach. If you get into a group of people who are holding each other accountable, please don't be selfish. And that's very, very important. Last step, I'm going to get out of here, is measure and adjust. Okay, so one of the things that derailed me, I think, in 2023 from my running goal was I developed a callus under my foot, right? And I did not know what to do with it. I didn't. So I just stopped because it was painful. I had the plantar warts because my foot was hitting a certain way when I run. Guess what? I began running already, and it's begun to crop up again. But I know what to do. So I know what medication I need to get and, to put the medicated pads under my foot and that kind of thing. I already have it. So because I'm better prepared, now if anything happens, I know to lower the miles that I run, that kind of thing. But just measure and adjust for life. If, as I always say, especially to mothers, fathers who have young children in particular, your goals will look way different from somebody else like me whose children are older. You cannot do as much because your primary responsibility is to care for little people who cannot care for themselves. So they are more dependent on you. That will take time. Like when I had my kids when they were very small, yes, I used to still do a lot of stuff. One, I had help. Two, I wasn't doing as much. Let's put it that way. So you've got to measure and adjust your goals for life as you go along. You guys, it's a great time to be alive. I hope you think so. No, it's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be alive. And one of the things that makes life meaningful is when you keep your promises to yourself, when you see yourself growing that muscle of capability by having a goal and going after it quietly, privately, in your own little space. I was watching a friend of mine on Facebook this morning. He's such a runner. He's been running for years. And He posted after his run this morning, all hot and sweaty, whatever, and talking about like he didn't make his goal because he had something under his arm, I believe it was, or something like that. Anywho, and I just remarked to myself, like, here's this guy waking up. It must have been like 3 o'clock back in the Caribbean. He goes out running at that time for himself with his little private goal. Okay, and there's nobody in his world, in his head, except him and the road and the goal. And in a sense, that's an analogy for every goal, that it's you and the thing that you said that you're going to do. So you've got to create the conditions for success, if that makes any sense. Okay, you guys, so this is it. I'm at 40 minutes. I'm supposed to do 30. I'm going to stop here. Don't forget to reward yourself and take it easy. Get the right people involved in your goal and keep thinking about it. I guess it goes without saying that there's no point in having like too many goals, because most of them you're not going to get to anyway. So go after your MIGs and do it in a way that is so effective that you create the conditions to win. So thank you for, oh, one thing I've got to tell you, one thing before I go. So you know what's open as well before I leave? Speak with Confidence is upon us, you guys. Speak with Confidence is happening in February. Now, if you're either a business person or you are a professional, somebody in the workplace, the traditional workplace, who recognizes that communication is key to moving ahead and you want to master it, this is your chance. I've got both the in-person cohort, which is right here in Edmonton. That one is almost full. The one online, there's still some room in there. We kick off on February 12th. It will be online. And this cohort is very special because it's going to be the 10th Speak with Confidence cohort. So 10th anniversary, not in terms of years. We started in 2021. So it's, we're almost, yeah, we have a couple years to go. But in terms of the number of cohorts, this is the 10th cohort. So we're bringing on the fire. We're bringing on, like new things for Speak with Confidence. The program has always evolved according to the needs of the student. So what I'm adding this year, I'm so proud of this, is that every Speak with Confidence graduate will get the opportunity to take a professional headshot after they graduate. We're going to arrange it in the pockets where we usually have it in certain places. Like I know for sure Canada, I can arrange all of them in one place. Then perhaps we'll have in the Caribbean, we have in the UK. That's what it's looking like, right? And those people will, after they graduate, get that opportunity to be made up, dressed up, and go get a professional photo. Let me tell you why. Part of Speak with Confidence is recognizing the power of image and the power of showing up the way you want to be regarded. And we do it all throughout the course, but particularly in the style and the delivery module, you learn to take particular care of not just what you say, but who you are while you're saying it. And that includes your appearance. And so when I came to do the testimonials this time around, asking people for photos, and a lot of the graduates right now don't have up to date professional headshots, and I'm like, what is going on? You can't send me something where you're in strappies in it. No. How we know? And so I recognize that we had to do some work in terms of just reminding people of how important it is to look the part. They always say you don't just dress for where you are, you dress for where you want to go. And like, opportunity meets preparation. you Opportunity meets preparation. Better to have the photo done so that when it's time to put it on LinkedIn, or when you're called to an interview or something, there you are, all nicely made a professional headshot that you can send off and people can see that you are ready. You're not just talking the talk. So we're adding that on this time around. And these are the features that make the program worth the gift and the investment that keeps on giving. So you get the 6 weeks of instruction, 6 virtual weeks. In the online program, there is one-on-one coaching. So I added that, I think, after cohort 4, when I realized I wasn't seeing the students face to face like I am in the Canadian cohort in person. And because of that, I found like the coaching sessions, meeting with each student one on one every week for the 6 weeks, it helped them to be more comfortable in their skin, to thrash out issues, long standing issues. Oh my gosh, things that are standing in the way of confidence and authenticity. We deal with those things in coaching. So I love the online program as well as the in person. It's a different energy. We had the first in person cohort in October of last year, 2025. And it was fire. It was transformative. It was warm. It changed the students' lives. And we're going to do it again in February. So that class is almost done. If you want in, reach out to me and we can arrange, your enrollment and that kind of thing. So you can find out more about Speak with Confidence on my website. Here is the website. So let me just put that in here as well. lisamdublin.com/SWC. So you find out more about the international program, the virtual one. And if you are here in Edmonton and you're listening to me on this bright morning, you can go to lisamdublin.com/SWC Canada, and you can find out more about the Canadian version of this program, which is equally powerful. So, if this is the year, these soft skills are no longer soft skills. These are leadership skills. People are looking to others, to people who can speak, who can back up their actions with how they deliver, to be the face, the representative, the person in charge, the person people look to for, with authority. When you master your communication, doors open for you. And especially if like you're an immigrant or you're a business person or somebody who wants to get ahead, listen, before you go get the next degree, master your communication, master how you speak, who you are when you speak, master the nuances of being able to read the room and increase your confidence, and you will see how doors will open for you in very short shrift. It happens. We're now doing a study with the students, the graduates, to see how many people have moved, have been promoted, have changed jobs, have gotten more responsibility, have stepped out in some way since they did Speak with Confidence. And this goes all the way back to 2021. So we've got a track record of helping people to elevate their game. And that could be you if you're willing. So thank you so much for just hearing me out on this. And I'll see you next week, Monday. I'm just kind of planning things and, arrange the schedule. This is what I'm running. This is what I'm doing. All of the things, right? And Monday is my day to go live. So, all right, I'll see you next week, Monday. So, have a great week and think deeply about your goals and reach out if you want my whole like goal setting sheet. I'm going to give it to you free of charge. It's on me. All right, everybody. Bye. Have a great day. See you. Bye bye. Oh, yeah. Please like and share this live if it meant something to you. Bye.